So today we're going to be talking about lead generation, specifically a full-on tutorial on what we would do if we were just starting out trying to generate our own leads. I'm joined with James. Take it off.
Yeah, so to start with, if you've got, I'm going to presume that you've already got a website. If you've not, you need to get a website. That's step number one. But if you have got a website, then the first thing I would be wanting to make certain that you've got set up as well is a Google business profile. That's a map listing that can connect through to your website. It puts your telephone number and your website kind of address on there. And then you try to start getting local rankings for the Google business profile for the services that you do nearby to the area of where you're based. So that's step number one within the tutorial. But what would you do, Kaz, with regards to on top of that, maybe to rank the Google business profile slightly better?
So I would then start focusing on your actual website. So a lot of startup beginner companies, what they typically do is they'll have like a homepage, then they'll have a services page, and then they might have like a contact us page. But they've got all of their services on the one page. So they might have like five or six different services, and they might mention such as, I don't know, like plumbing, emergency plumbers, boiler replacement. That's all on the one page. What you actually want to make certain that you're doing is you're actually optimizing each page. So what I mean by that is if you provide three different services, you want three actual service pages. So emergency plumbers in Edinburgh, boiler replacement in Edinburgh. So you're actually optimizing for all of those locations. That just by doing that will indirectly also help your Google business profile rank higher as well. So it's kind of like a win-win in both strategies. Your actual SEO on your website will try to slowly increase, and also your Google business profile will increase in rankings as well.
Yes, that's a great strategy for on-page SEO for the website. So I'll now move to the off-page SEO strategies for what people should be doing to try to help increase the lead generation and the volume of leads that you're getting through. So from an off-page strategy, if you're a local plumber or a local electrician, I'm going to kind of say that you're a local company, right? Is that the first thing I'll be doing is if you've got an address and a telephone number, then for your office, then I'd be getting a lot of business listings. So I'd head on over to somewhere like Local SEO Sharks and go there and I'd probably buy 100 citations. And then what I'd do is there are 100 different business listings like Yell.com, Thompson Local, 192.com, and lots of other different listings like that. And you're going getting your business out there, your name and the address and the phone number, you gain it on 100 different referring domains. I then make certain I'm force indexing those using a tool like Giga Indexer or Indexceptional, which then means that Googlebot are going to come and crawl them and pick them up. You then could then, on top of doing that, which what is known in the SEO industry as being pillow links, is go and get yourself a social fortress. So go and make certain that's building a moat around your website. It's a trust signal in making certain that you've got a Twitter, a Facebook, an Instagram, a Pinterest, a YouTube. Then there's other platforms which you might not have heard of, like a Tumblr, a Weebly, a Rebel Mouse. Now this is all brand.tumblr.com, brand.medium.com. So trying to build all that and get it all going and then trying to make certain you force index that. They're now all different platforms that you can be shouting and screaming. And if you go and win an award for whatever you're doing, you can go and shout and scream across all your social media platforms to make people aware. But now we're going kind of moving on there nicely from SEO and off page, and I've said about making the social profiles. What would you do with regards to organic social media?
Organic social media. So there's a lot of different strategies that you can do. Like even I do it on my own personal stuff where I'm chatting on about SEO or I'm chatting on about business and stuff like that. So you could do text format social media, and it is a very very slow burner. So don't expect it to work in the next 30 days. Like maybe have a plan of saying, right, okay, I'm going to do one social post for the next 90 days. So every single day, and at the end of it, you're going to have 90. But if you've got like a visual product, I highly recommend like doing some quick before and afters. Like let's say you do kitchen remodeling, or maybe you do like, I don't know, house house renovations and stuff like that, you can do like really nice before and afters. Or you can even set up your phone in the corner of the room. You can do is it called a time lapse where it's like
Yeah.
you can do stuff like that, and that does get a lot of eyeballs on your brand. Now, some of these videos, I'm sure we've all seen them. They might get like 2-3 million views. That's not necessarily 2-3 million actual leads. There might be like 0.2% of those that actually get in touch and they're like, yeah, I actually do want your service and stuff like that. So highly recommend doing that, especially if you are in a visually appealing service-based business.
Yeah, for sure. And within this tutorial for lead generation, then I'm going to then kind of go on from being social media onto paid social media. So this is paid ads. It could be paid ads. It could be YouTube ads. It could be Twitter ads. It could be Facebook ads. It could be Instagram ads. It could be Pinterest ads, depending on how visual your kind of product is. So if it was kitchen remodeling, then Pinterest ads and Twitter ads and Facebook ads and Instagram, they all work very well. So I've been making certain that there's something called a retargeting pixel. I've been making certain that that is set up on your website. So anyone that goes onto your website, you can then retarget them on Facebook or on Instagram. Paid ads can work very well. The point is with all of this that we're talking about here with regards to the tutorial for lead generation is, if you don't know what you're doing and it's in the wrong hands, you can end up acquiring the wrong type of links, or the content could not be written algorithmically how Google algorithms want you to semantically write the content. It's the same with doing the paid ads. So on moving away from paid ads from social media, what's your thoughts then on PPC, on pay per click within Google? So someone can get straight to the top of Google by paying for those ads. What's your thoughts on that? Surely that can generate leads.
Yeah, it can. It can also burn a lot of money as well. So if we're going to be talking about the pros, we should probably also talk about the cons. So with PPC, you can very quickly, it's a lot quicker than SEO. When it comes to generating your first batch of leads or your first lead. The things that I would be looking into is making certain that if you're starting to get clicks onto your website, which keywords those clicks are coming from. Because in a lot of cases, if you were to go and set up a brand new campaign today, you don't have a negative keyword list. So let's say you're an accountancy firm. Somebody that's searching for accounting jobs, your PPC listing might come up, and that's not necessarily what you want. You want more customers. You don't want new or more staff, for example. So I would always be focusing on the negative keyword list. I would also be focusing on click fraud as well, because a lot of the times when you start running PPC, especially in hyper competitive markets, what you typically find is your competitors start trying spying on you and they're clicking onto your ads. So making certain that you're tracking all the IPs that are actually seeing your ads, making certain that you're blacklisting some of those IPs so they don't continuously keep fraudulently clicking on your actual campaigns. But it is a lot faster strategy than SEO.
Yeah, so obviously if you are a beginner and you're looking for tutorials to do with lead generation, it can work. But it also can be very, very expensive as well, and you can burn a lot of money. So, another option for you, if you are looking, you're a beginner looking, your boss has come along, the business owner's come along and says, we need more leads. Or you are a business owner and you're thinking, we need more leads. I'm new into lead generation. What else can I do? You can actually just go and team up with a great lead generation company. So you can go out there. It could be Checkatrade, right? Checkatrade is ranking for a lot of big keywords, and then you could be seen alongside all your competition. You need to pay to be on there. But if you can work out and you track your KPIs and they're generating you, let's say, an inquiry every single day, and you work out your conversion rate and how much you're making, and you get a positive return on investment, then Checkatrade could work great. You don't need to be generating your own leads via PPC or SEO if Checkatrade can make you a return on investment. That then becomes the same with Bark.com. It becomes the same with Build Builder, with Trust a Trader. There's lots of different tradespeople websites out there where you can get yourself listed on. But again, like PPC and like SEO, you can burn money So just make certain if you are looking at doing any sort of lead generation and you are obviously now looking at a tutorial how to generate more leads and you are a beginner, make certain you're tracking those KPIs. But what about specific lead generation companies, Kazra? Obviously, we've going to be slightly, well, completely dubious with regards to we own FatRank.com, which is a lead generation company. But just away from FatRank as well, we can talk about that in a minute. But what about other lead generation companies that are experts at doing what they do day in, day out, that know SEO, that know PPC, that know how to retarget people? What's your thoughts on actually getting a roofer to do the roof, so to speak, getting a lead generation company to generate your leads?
Yeah, so it makes sense. I think it was a couple of years ago when we were speaking to an accountancy firm, chartered accountancy firm, been in the game for like 20 years now. And she basically said, like, I can't believe that I've went to university, learned how to become an accountant, and I've been in the game for 20 years, for example. But I just don't know how to actually generate my own leads because it's not something that's actually been trained in university. It doesn't matter if you're a dentist, it doesn't matter if you're a lawyer, it doesn't matter if you're an accountancy firm. They just don't actually show you how to do it. They show you how to become a chartered accountant, or they teach you how to become a chartered accountant and how to file taxes correctly and stuff like that. But they just don't show you how to market yourself and generate new business. So that's one of the biggest issues that's, I would say it's industry wide. It's not specifically just accountants. It's not specifically just lawyers. Everyone has this issue. So it definitely does make sense to partner up with someone that does this day in, day out. Another thing that I would also recommend doing, get leads first. That's James's book.
Yeah, I've written a book here called Leads First, and when you're talking about that there with regards to accountancy, and they're great at doing the numbers and doing the year-end accounts. So many business owners, and this is why we started to write this year, so many business owners don't realise that the lifeblood of any successful business is lead generation. And this is why I love doing these videos with you, is because you do need to have the leads first mindset. And it made me grab the book then because you was talking about the amount of business owners that come along and they don't realise the importance. They just think, like another lead generation strategy you could say for beginners is word of mouth. It is one type of strategy you can use, but so many of them are obsessed and only get word of mouth leads, and you don't know where your next job's going to come from. So adapting that lead first mindset is key. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
So then going back to answering your previous question, how do you select your partner? So there's a few things. Obviously, we're going to be biased, and we're always going to say FatRank's the best because we truly do believe that. But if you don't want to partner with us, if you want to do your due diligence, here's a few things that I would be looking at. Look at the company that you're partnering with and see what kind of model have they got. First of all, is it a CPA where it's cost per lead, which is CPL? Like, are you, for example, if they generate you 10 leads, is it £15 you need to pay them per lead? So it's £150. But then from that, then you also need to take it into consideration. Have they previously done it for anyone in your industry? Because again, if they've previously done it for, let's say, a solar panel company and you're also a solar panel company, maybe they've got a previous client in Manchester, you're down in London, then brilliant. You could probably go with guys like that. You also want to make certain that what type of leads are they? Are they exclusive leads? Are they shared leads? Because when it comes to certain platforms like Bark, for example, or Checkatrade and stuff like that, the biggest concern that we have when we speak to business owners is that, yeah, I've been spending money on Bark, or I've been spending money on Checkatrade or Yellow Pages or whatever, but the same lead is also being distributed to 5 of my other competitors. So it's almost like a rat race of who's the cheapest at that point. And we always want to be profitable. So that's another thing to take into consideration. And also just jump on a few calls, like speak to guys like myself, guys like James, guys like whoever's running Bark and stuff like that, and tell them what your KPIs are. Maybe you've got a certain amount of leads that you want. Maybe you've got a certain budget in mind, and then they should be able to actually help you a little bit more with the actual decision making as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think what's great, obviously, with regards to ourselves at fatrank.com, right, is that if you speak to any one of our staff, we basically say holistically, you should be trying to do different revenue streams and different lead generation streams. So we would say to you, I mean, we've not even touched upon the cold outreach. So you've got inbound and outbound lead generation. And we've not even spoke about like outbound lead generation with regards to using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, mass contact form submissions, mass email campaigns with like MailChimp or whatever other lead email marketing platform that you want to use. There's lots of different ways you can do mass cold calling and stuff like that. The only issue with that when you're doing outbound is that it can be tough. The conversion rates are a lot lower. But when you team up with somebody like at fatrank.com, they will come back to you specifically for the industry of what you are in and say, we believe you should do this, this, and this. They will never say, just use us and that's it. Because you should have that diversification of leads that are coming in. You don't want a single point of failure. You want to try to have that diversification. So head on over to fatrank.com, fill in the form, see whether you qualify. If you don't, there is one other thing that I want you to touch on, and that's free local. So freelocal.com is another great way. If they've got a website and got a Google business profile, Free Local can add a subdomain which goes after all your locations around your website. So you can do like a 10-mile radius, which might be 100 different locations. So if I'm in Manchester, it could do me a dedicated page for Eccles, for Earlham, for Rochdale, for Stockport, and all these different places, which is massive when it's generating leads, because some people might want a specific company based in Stockport. If you've got that page and you're based in Manchester, but you do the work in Stockport, then happy days. Obviously, in different areas, you can do it and you get this subdomain being set up. So,
like one thing to bear in mind as well, because not all businesses might be able to understand this. A lot of businesses, they might work specifically in let's say Rochdale or Manchester, but they might also do like a 25-mile radius. So basically with Free Local, you're actually able to like map out where you work, or like the radius that you work. So you might say, okay, I work a 50-mile radius of Edinburgh, for example, and then that'll basically find all of the towns and cities in and around Edinburgh and build actual dedicated pages. Now, the good thing about that is it'll actually rank. It'll start generating you leads in those actual surrounding areas. So you're not going to start getting leads down in, let's say, Carlisle, for example, if you don't cover Carlisle. So that's the added benefit of Free Local as well.
yeah, for sure. And like you said there, it's local leads that people can do. It's another like bit of a tutorial for someone who's looking to get more leads and they're a beginner. What else can you do to generate leads? Have that diversification. Is there anything else then you touch upon there with you guys? What's your thoughts on inbound to outbound lead generation? Obviously, one could be a cold lead. One of them can be a warm lead. Like, what's your thoughts on it?
I specifically hate outbound because you just get a lot more no's. Whereas when it's like inbound, they've actually went out of their way. They've spent time doing the research to search your brand, maybe search a couple of your competitors, and they've specifically chosen your contact form or your website to reach out to. So from a closing rate as well, from your sales team being a lot more positive and a lot more happy, it just keeps your sales team a lot more happy as well. So I always love inbound, but I also do get that in some cases you do need some outbound. You do need to ruffle some feathers and get your brand in places.
Yeah, for sure. And the last one I want to touch on here, it's a tutorial for lead generation. However, something else that I want to touch upon is online reputation management and branding, and making certain that Google loves brands. So the more you can make your business into a brand online and get a positive kind of sentiment online for your online reputation management, that is, someone types in your business name, you're happy with all the results that show up. Have you got enough reviews? If you've not, start asking your customers for more reviews. But then also, I'm just making certain that, like, there's certain things nowadays with like artificial intelligence. Could you get someone within your office to start learning AI? There's certain tools like N8N, which can automate, which is an AI agent which can automate, and you can schedule certain posts going onto Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. There's certain things you can start to automate nowadays. So, I mean, that is a completely different video of what we're going to be touched upon there. We do have plenty of videos on there to do with N8N. If you are wanting to know more, because obviously this is a tutorial about lead generation, if you want to know more about lead generation, I strongly recommend you subscribe and look at some of the other videos like Kazra touched upon before, inbound leads versus outbound leads. You could have warm leads versus cold leads. You could have SEO versus PPC, checker trade versus fat rank. Now, the truth of the matter is, industry to industry, it could vary. But try everything, track your KPIs, and if you are looking to grow the lead generation strategies of what you're doing, hopefully you like the video. Make sure you leave a comment, see if you think we've missed anything. We'll always respond to all the comments that are in there.